we get a knock, and I open the door, and there's these two guys standing outside, and they're, dressed very nicely, and I kind of assumed that they were Jehovah's Witness because we had them show up at this house multiple times. So they pull out their wallets or their badges or whatever, and they're like, yes, like, we're agent so-and-so and agent so-and-so from the FBI. Hey guys! So as you can see in the title, today we're going to have an interesting video about our experience several years back when we had FBI surveilling us. So, basically, most of you are aware that my husband is a 100% disabled veteran, and he's been diagnosed with severe PTSD. His deployment was a very bad one. He was a medic in the Army, and hey, be careful. He had his fair share of bad experiences. Along with the PTSD comes other conditions like, for an example, anxiety, paranoia, and what they call hypervigilance. Now, hypervigilance, for anybody who might not know, it basically means that you're extremely aware and vigilant, like, all the time. You notice odd behaviors, or if somebody's watching, or if somebody's peeking around a corner. You just are more likely to notice all these little details of things that could potentially be a threat. And it is just something that often accompanies PTSD. So we kind of do a lot of sarcasm to kind of deal with a lot of the diagnoses that he deals with, because when you're constantly being diagnosed with more conditions and all these negative things, it's a good thing to not have that negativity control you. So I guess our remedy is sarcasm. So let's get into it. So this wasn't 2010 or 2011. We were living in a little cheap house straight out of the military, and we were learning how to reintegrate into that civilian world and civilian lifestyle and all that. And my husband was dealing with the first major culture shock effects where the PTSD was just amplified. Anyways, so we were constantly joking around, basically saying that his life was like the Truman Show, because he would mention, like, talk about an old song, and then suddenly it'd be on the radio. And he would always notice these things. And I always kind of joked around about it. He joked around about it. But one day we got home from, like, going shopping or something, and there was a van parked right across from our house. And now, this van did have a sign on it. It said it was some sort of, like, cleaning company, and we didn't think anything of it at first. My husband kind of joked about it a little bit. He was like, look at that, a big white van. And it had, like, a little label. Like, it wasn't like, like the van, then, like, it's got a big old label on it like all the companies do. Like, the label was oddly small, and, I don't know, it was a little bit weird, right? So, and I wish I would have recorded it back then or taken pictures of it, because it was kind of hilarious. And he was joking around, saying that the man was suspicious, and watch, like, it's going to turn out to be something else. And I just kind of blew it off, kind of that we were joking around. But the next day, when my husband went to go outside the house, he noticed the van was still there. But the funny fact is that it was literally moved from the house it was in front of the day prior to the neighboring house. And so my husband was like, okay, well, this is the FBI or the CIA. Somebody's listening to us. And I was just kind of like, yeah, right, whatever. Like, watch. The neighbors just started a cleaning company, right? And they parked the van over there, maybe because they had another car parked there. There's nothing wrong, right? And my husband's like, no, like, this is weird. So another day goes by, and no joke, that van is still there. But the funny fact is that the van now had moved, like, another house up, but, like, across the street. So now it was on our side of the road, but, like, 2 houses up. So now the van is parked in front of the third house on a random location, which wouldn't make any sense if it was the person, like, starting a business or something. So now we're both getting a little bit suspicious. And my husband's, like, basically saying, like, he hopes it's, like, just the FBI or CIA or something like that, just listening in on somebody The town we lived was also not necessarily the best town. It wasn't like a bad neighborhood, but a couple of things that were, I guess, kind of going on there here and there throughout the years were drug trafficking and money laundering, because it was kind of almost like somewhat of a halfway point between Tucson and Phoenix. Like that would be like the stopping point and then distribute it into the Phoenix area, because it goes Sierra Vista, Tucson, Phoenix. Regardless, we kind of figured, maybe it's the FBI or something, maybe they're listening in on somebody, and my husband was joking that they were listening in on us. At this point, we're kind of getting a little bit more suspicious, and we just kept an eye on the van, like curious about when it was going to leave, like what was going on. Probably at this point had been over a week. Throughout that time, throughout those days, the van would just continuously park like back and forth on another, like in front of different houses, but it was never more than like maybe 4 houses up from us, 4 houses down, and across the street. And the funny thing was, it never parked in front of our house, like directly on our side of the road. The only time it was parked in front of our house was when it was across the street. So it almost seemed like they were purposely, very obviously, trying to not be suspicious, if that makes sense.
Don't be suspicious. 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 Don't be suspicious.
And we were joking about them, like that these were FBI agents. This was their first mission, right? And like we were just kind of having fun with it, right? And part of us was also concerned about what was going on in the neighborhood, of course. But like I said, we do deal with a lot of stuff with sarcasm. And at this point, it was like the following day, after we had like a really good laugh, that we get a knock on the door. And I open the door, and there's these 2 guys standing outside, and they're, dressed very nicely. And I kind of assumed that they were Jehovah's Witnesses, because we had them show up at this house multiple times. So they pull out their wallets or their badges or whatever, and they're like, yes, like we're agent so-and-so and agent so-and-so from the FBI. And we're like, what's going on, officer? And they were like, can we come in? We were like, yeah, sure, come on in, no problem. We had nothing to hide, So at this point, they started questioning us if we knew this person. And it was a female. And after like a minute, I was like, hold on, babe. I was like, because we didn't know this person, but the name just kind of like rang a bell. And I grabbed the mail, and I was like, babe, I said, that's that lady that lived here before us whose mail we've been getting. And I showed it to the officers, and I said, yes, officers. I said, we've been still receiving mail here in her name. But from my understanding, she suddenly took off. And from what the landlord lady had said, well, the manager lady, because it was a management company, they said that she kind of just up and left and broke out of the lease. And we didn't know what had happened. We didn't know anything other than this person's name, but we just kind of been turning the mail back in, right on it, does not live here, and return the sender. Well, we showed them the letters. I don't remember if they kept it or not. They asked if we knew where she went. We said that, I guess, that the landlord lady thought that she had relatives in California, and that's likely where she went. We gave the FBI the phone numbers to the landlord and the management and our agent who managed our property. And here's the funny part. They actually said that the reason they knocked on our door was because they didn't see a point in continuously surveilling us, because we already knew who they were. As in, they had been listening to our conversations and had heard us basically talk about how this must have been their first time, how they were like really bad at being sneaky, and how it was funny. And we were just kind of joking about it, but thinking back on it, we were laughing, like we're all turning red, because we're like, oh my goodness, we didn't mean to be disrespectful. We didn't know you guys were really actually FBI. My husband even assumed that maybe he was just kind of being a little paranoid or something, right? I assumed maybe it was just being a little paranoid or something, right? Even though it was suspicious, the likelihood of running into the FBI, doing a surveillance right across from your house on you is pretty darn low, especially when you're not somebody who commits any crimes, right? So was a pretty funny situation. They definitely took the whole situation with a lot of humor. So did we. We were not offended that they were listening in on us in any way. We didn't resent them or anything like that. I don't know, maybe it's because we have nothing to hide, or maybe it's just because we're used to the government being very involved in our lives. And like I said before, it was kind of an odd situation. It was a little funny, it was a little weird, but they basically apologized for bothering us. We had a good laugh, and they ended up leaving, and we didn't see the van afterwards. My husband would joke about it, saying that they're probably switching out to cars now, but we didn't see anything else suspicious after that. Anyways, so that is our experience of being surveillanced by the FBI for approximately a week or so. And not having done anything wrong. We didn't get arrested or charged with anything. We weren't doing anything wrong. We had nothing to hide. They were basically just looking for the lady who had lived in the property that we were renting just before us. We hope you guys enjoyed our adventure with the FBI, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching Pretty Bird munch away at all these dandelions. She's definitely having fun with that. Huh, Pretty? You get the num-nums? You get the num-nums? Anyways, y'all, we hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, okay? If you like this video, please do hit that like button. We really appreciate it when you do. Share the video with your friends and family because, well, to me, she puts a smile on my face, and that's what I'm hoping to share with all of you. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about our encounter with the FBI. What you would have done in our situation. Would you have approached a van? Would you have, like, looked into it? Or would you have just waited, gotten nervous, uncomfortable, been mad about being surveillanced without your knowledge? I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. And, yeah, I know, you're a good bird. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. This is our Goose, Pretty Bird. And she's the star of this channel. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Alrighty. Bye, y'all.
Don't be suspicious. 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 Don't be suspicious.